If you are struggling with chronic pain, chronic inflammation, autoimmune conditions, chronic depression and anxiety, weight gain, brain fog, migraines, IBS, it could very well be due to stored trauma in your body. In this video, we're going to talk about what trauma is, how it relates to the nervous system, and how you can release stored trauma from your body. What's up, everyone? My name is Lizzie, and I am the creator of Empower Body, Mind, Soul, Somatic Fitness and Self-Care for Women. This is such an important topic because for so long, we thought we needed to talk our trauma out, right? But now research is showing that we cannot talk our way into trauma resolution. Trauma is actually stored in the body and in the tissues. The body keeps the score. So we have to heal trauma through the body, not just the mind. Trauma happens when we have too much threat or danger than we can manage and metabolize and process in the moment, right? Too much for our capacity is going to translate to nervous system dysregulation. And when that nervous system dysregulation doesn't get properly metabolized, that gets stored as trauma that tends to repeat itself. Right? So we have repeated chronic issues happening in the body, but also in the mind, and also in patterns that play out inside of our relationship, our life choices, addictions. Literally nearly every aspect of our body is affected by this stored stress response, right? When we don't have the time, the space, the know-how to release stress from our body, it builds up, right? And life is inherently stressful, right? Being a human right now, we are in an onslaught of negative news every single day of our life. Prices keep rising. We have to keep working harder just to make ends meet. Life is traumatic, right? So there's going to be pain and trauma that happens in our life, but if we're not able to metabolize it, that's when it stores in our body and becomes these chronic conditions. The number one thing that we need to remember when we are addressing trauma and hoping to release trauma through the body is that we require safety. Our nervous system is scanning constantly in the background, in our subconscious, scanning the environment to see if we are under threat or if we are safe. The body, when feeling unsafe, is going to click into alert, into sympathetic activation. It's gonna fight, it's gonna run away, it's gonna get activated first and mobilized. And if that doesn't work, then we start to shut down and we start to freeze, right? If something's really scary, like, the problems that we're facing today as a world, as a collective, we may start to freeze. Like we may have also done as children when we didn't have actual power to stand up to the things that were happening in our household. We didn't have the power to change it. We didn't have the power to leave. So we tend to shut down, freeze, and even disassociate from our bodies as a self-protective mechanism. So when we have too much threat that we can't process, this anxious, mobilizing, fighting energy gets tapped down into freeze. Most of the time we end up going through our lives in a self-protective way. So the number one thing that we have to remember is creating safety is essential. A cat would not birth a baby out in an open field. No, they're gonna come to a nice, cozy, safe, contained, dark, private space in order to get that done, okay? Same goes with our trauma release. We need a safe container. We need a loving container. We need a space where we can release the judgment towards ourselves, a space where we can call on our higher power, maybe our ancestors. We can really create a sacred space for us to land into. Unless you love something, it won't reveal itself to you. So we need to create these unconditionally loving environments and containers for ourselves to land into. This is the most important component to releasing our trauma. And I say release so gently and softly because release kind of has this connotation of like, get it away, right? When in fact, in order to actually metabolize our trauma, we have to be willing to actually bring it in, to actually love it, to actually hold it and attune with it and listen deeply to it and feel it in order for that metabolization and ultimately that release. Making the container, turning towards ourselves with love and releasing shame and judgment are a crucial component to this process. There is actually an innate wisdom inside of you and inside of all animal bodies that knows how to release trauma. Restless leg syndrome, right? That is an expression of the natural innate wisdom of the body to shake and tremor in order to release cortisol. But we judge it, we take medication for it, instead of trusting that body's knowing. I want to show you this video of an impala that gets captured by a leopard. Okay, she is in full play dead freeze mode here, totally captured, pretending she is not alive. And then the leopard gets distracted, he gets scared, and he runs away. Notice what happens next. She, the impala, is frozen. Gradually, that breath starts to come back into her belly. She starts to create that gentle mobilization out of freeze first, and then she starts to tremor, right? She is releasing cortisol and stress from that event so that she can then get up, gallop away, and go on with her life without spending years in talk therapy and ending up with chronic pain and autoimmune conditions and anxiety. This is the opportunity that we have in front of us to save ourselves from years of chronic pain and conditions by taking the time and prioritizing metabolizing the stressful, traumatic things that happen in our life. Because a freeze mode inherently has that fight or flight mode tapped down inside of it, we have to actually move up into that sympathetic activation, that fight and flight mobilized mode, in order to complete the activation cycle and to release that stored cortisol. So in the process of turning towards your pain, right, turning towards your trauma, you may discover that you may get angry, you may want to push something, you may cry, you may shake, you may burp. These are all ways that your body is inherently able to move this energy through. So we want to be in a safe space to actually trust what's arising. All we really have to do is tune in and follow the sensations as they're arising in our body. Now, this can also be intense, right? We ignore pain in our body because we don't want to feel it. It's not pleasant to feel our pain. And trauma is created from too much too fast. So we want to make sure that we are not re-traumatizing ourselves in the process of attempting to heal and process our trauma. So we want to use the principle of titration, or just simply of going slow. We want to be able to lean into the discomfort, pain inside of our body. We don't actually need to have a story or an understanding about where this trauma came from, what it's connected to in our childhood. We don't actually have to have a cognitive framework. We can just simply go into where we're feeling pain and we can start to work with that. right? We want to touch into it just enough, and then we may use the principle of pendulation. If it gets too much, we take a break, we come back into safety, we find a sense of groundedness, maybe even finding a sense of pleasure and peace inside of our body, a place that we feel resourced, right? And then we may go back to that discomfort and work with it more. When we follow that painful sensation, there's usually something that it guides you towards, right? And so it's a practice because we're so conditioned to, tell me exactly what I need to do, right? And in my guided practices, I have over 100 guided practices inside my online studio, and I do give you specific tools and movements to try, right? But always, 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 my bigger invitation is to have me help you hold this container for yourself so that you can drop into your body's innate wisdom. Only you are inside of your body, right? Only you knows where that movement needs to go and flow next. And so this is really about a return to our innate, primordial wisdom and power to heal ourselves. Having the right music to help you hold the container is so, so helpful, right? I mean, we struggle to get our workouts done, but hey, when we know that there is something inside of us that needs to let go, for example, this week I've been feeling heavy. I know that I need to go into my grief. I know that I need to move it through my body. And yet there's resistance, right? Because we don't want to go down into the depths, right? We resist going down into the depths, and we forget that it actually rebirths us into a completely new, more connected and free place every time we do it. So we need to actually hold ourselves accountable lovingly and make the space for ourselves. And when we have someone helping to hold that container, or we have music, maybe a candle, maybe some prayers, maybe we tell other people in our life, we create boundaries. We say, I'm doing this right now, I'm unavailable, I'm gonna turn off my phone, and really commit to like 45 minutes of laying on our mat, tuning in and breathing with our pain and seeing what wants to happen next. We would go slow, we would hold a loving space, and we would follow the guidance of the body. Now, because safety is tricky, especially for those of us with complex PTSD, finding safety with another person, co-regulating with another person can be really helpful, right? To help hold the container for our process can be really helpful, but ultimately it's our process, okay? And there are skills that you can learn. There are movements that you can learn to help facilitate this process. I teach them all inside of the online studio. I have practices that will just guide you through it and help you drop into those deeper layers inside of yourself. But ultimately, this is you tapping into your innate wisdom and trusting it. Getting out of the way, not judging if we, get angry, if we cry, if we burp, if we do something weird. No, trusting the magic and the wisdom of the body is really what it takes to release trauma through the body. And we may mimic, we may find that we start to shake, right? Just like that animal tremoring to burn off that cortisol, or maybe fighting when there was a time in our life that we tapped down that fight response because there was like a parent or someone that we could not fight, we could not win the battle with, so we held it in. And then we have to actually access that fight response, throw some punches maybe, throw a pillow, slam a pillow, and let that activation cycle of fight or flight move through our body. We may need to run in place from a time where We stayed in a dysfunctional place that wasn't good for us because we didn't know how to move forward, right? So we may find that when we go into that freeze and that pain, that in order to release that, we might need to do some running, okay, or running in place, mobilizing ourselves out of that freeze, okay? Your body knows how to do this. Being with a trained professional can be helpful. Having practices to help guide you through, having the right music, all of those pieces can really help you hold the container for yourself to have this release. Most of us have eons of pent-up past trauma that we haven't yet processed, right? So making space for this is really important as our workouts. We may find that we're working out, we're not losing weight, we're not making progress because our nervous system is chronically dysregulated, and that affects every system of our body. So unless we address this and support the release, we're going to continue to bump up against the same issues regardless of how many supplements we're taking, no matter how much we're working out to lose weight or eating right. Our body's going to store cortisol and store fat as a symptom of nervous system dysregulation. So we have these past traumas that we have to address, and we also have just the little traumas of our daily life as a human being in this crazy world. We need actual little moments every single day to just like process what happened today so that we don't create that backlog. If you are wanting support with really holding yourself accountable to creating this safe and self-loving space for you to drop into, to be held inside of, so that you can metabolize whatever it is that you are holding from today or from a lifetime, drop me a comment. I will send you one of my Spotify or Apple Music. Let me know which one you are. I got them both. I will send you my grief journey playlist to support you. And if you'd like to join me inside of the online studio, let me know. I will send you a discount code to join me for free. For 2 weeks, you can access all of my trauma release practices, my somatic healing practices. You'll learn the principles behind all of these tools, and then you'll be guided through them in a way that just like feels juicy and good and supports you in really reconnecting to your innate wisdom, truth, power, clarity, and guidance. You will also receive a free one-to-one call with me to get you set up inside of the online studio and to create a 30-day self-care plan so that you have the most results possible working with the practices inside the online studio. Okay, I can't wait to connect with you on our one-on-one call. So drop me a comment and I will send you over the link.